Immediately kind of prior to coaching, I had a couple of life-changing events, or one life-changing event, and really still felt like I was mentally and emotionally in a good place, but then learned about it and realized how far out of that good place that I actually was.
I didn't feel like I was living up to my potential, even though I was in a very successful career, you know, a reasonably happy personal life. I just felt very stuck in so many ways, personally and professionally. Like I kind of hit a wall within corporate America.
I didn't think I was in a terrible place, but there were also some things that were inhibiting additional progress. And I don't think I realized the impact that those few things that were swimming around in my head had in every area of my life.
I have a colleague in Keller Williams, where I work, that had been through Frame of Mind, and the timing was right in what was going on in my life that was similar in some ways to hers, and she recommended that I reach out.
I went on the Frame of Mind website thinking about Kim and just exploring it because I knew a little bit about that's what she was doing, but I didn't really know the extent of it. And I liked the values. Like it was, I read through the principles of it, and the principles were so aligned with what I think the recipe is for healthy living, that it was that made me want to call Kim and talk about coaching.
Initially, the idea of journaling and having somebody else read your journals is kind of a little bit of a daunting thing, and then I said, well, I'm going to go for it.
So the Frame of Mind coaching journey is interesting and intense because you're talking about things with your coach that really maybe you've thought about before, maybe you've had in the back of your mind, but you've never actually visited, and you've never actually asked the question why or how or what am I gonna do or where is this going?
I think so many of us this day and age don't take time to think. We're tethered to cell phones, smartphones, we're surrounded by 1,000 cable channels and email and everything else that we get, that we rarely take time to sit down and just think. So Dave gave me that space to think, but then he took my thoughts and he shined light on them from a slightly different perspective.
One of the things that was pointed out to me was that I'm constantly justifying and defending what I do. Midway through the process, as I had really cut down a lot of justifying and defending, even the silliest things like, I don't know, buying ice cream at the store, I mean, it was very silly things sometimes that I was justifying and defending. And I stopped doing that, and the freedom that kind of came along with that was amazing.
The fundamental piece of this is about having somebody really understand what their strengths are, and thinking, and then building on that to think about what their impact is.
I love being an optometrist. In order to be an optometrist, I have to have staff. I can't do it all by myself. But quote unquote managing people was painful for me. I hated it because I always found myself butting heads, and I thought if they would just do it this way, or if they would just change this, or if they would just change that. And miraculously, after a 10-week course of coaching, all of that seemed to change to me. But what was funny was that they didn't change at all. What had changed was me, and what was between my ears is what had changed.
You can have values, and you can even be operating from that place of intentionality and coming from a good place. But you may be showing up in a way that doesn't say that to other people, and I really found in my personal life that was true. So even though I want the best for my kids, I want the best for my relationships, I was showing up with a different set of beliefs and structures that I wasn't entirely aware of until I had gone through coaching. Working on yourself isn't something that's easy to do by yourself. But that's what this allows you to do, is it allows you to kind of look inside and kind of look under the hood and really figure out how everything works.
If we take a different perspective on something, then that changes everything. And once you do that once and have a positive change, then you're really motivated to do it again because you believe it's possible.
I love the concept of thought management and the idea that it's not just, coaching is not just about the behavior, it's about dealing with the thoughts.
The other coaching I've been involved with over the last several years of my life has been more action-based, more focused on what to do. Frame of mind focuses on how to be. No matter how many actions I change or do, it's not going to necessarily change who I am. But if I change how I think, if I take my unproductive thoughts and remove them and get them out of my head, but out on the paper or wherever, removed from my mind, then I can focus on the ones that are productive.
When I got to journal, I could just dump it all out. At the end of the day, I would just journal and I could go to sleep with a quiet mind. I didn't have to have all that stuff whirling around up top.
It gives you the ability to go back. You can go back and look at where you were, whether that's last week, whether that's last month, whether that's last year, or 5 years ago, because it lives on forever.
People have seen a difference in me and they've commented on it. And the difference is these really small internal shifts that have happened inside of me. And so if it's something that they are seeing and something that they are admiring, a lot of that I attribute to the frame of mind coaching process.
I mean, it's like literally actually changed the direction of somebody's life. I think that's phenomenal.
I think that coaching is absolutely for everybody. I don't believe there's a single person who couldn't benefit from coaching.
Really, the only regret I've ever heard anyone ever have about frame of mind coaching is that they didn't do it sooner.
It's a 10-week process that has more meat to it than a year-long process with any other coaching I've ever been affiliated with.
When I talk to others about frame of mind coaching, I tell them that it is really one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life.
I think it's a great opportunity.
It's absolutely the best thing that I've done for myself in well over a decade.